Hi everybody. In this tutorial we're going to go over Illustrator shortcuts. A shortcut is a key or a combination of keys that are going to provide you quick access to a function in Illustrator. So instead of going over to your toolbar to click a tool or up to the top menu, you can just hit the correct keys to bring up that function. I'll be providing you with this PDF that shows some of the more frequently used shortcuts, and it'll show the keys you need for both Mac and Windows. Since I'm working on a Windows machine, I'll be using these key combinations, but you just need to replace Control with Command on a Mac and Alt with Option. Alright, I just want to go over a few of the shortcuts that I think are really going to save you some time and make your life a little bit easier while you're working in Illustrator. To open an existing project, you just press Control-O, and that'll bring up your open options. If you want to save your changes to the project, Control-S will save those. And if you want to save it as a new file, if you press Control-Shift-S, that'll let you save out a new version if you wanted to. To cut, copy, and paste objects, you just need to click on them, press Control-X to cut it. If you want to paste it, it's Control-V. And to make a copy, Control-C, Control-V to paste, and you have a copy. If you also click and hold Alt and drag an object, you'll make a copy. So click, hold Alt, and drag. If you've made a change that you want to undo, you can just press Control-Z, and that will undo your changes. To redo a change, Control-Shift-Z, and that will redo everything. To delete an object, you just need to click on it and press Delete on your keyboard, and that will completely get rid of it. You can also select multiple objects and delete those. Let me just undo that. You can also press and hold Shift and just pick which objects you want to select, and that's just selecting those ones. Like I mentioned in an earlier video, all the tools on the side here have their own corresponding shortcut key. If you hover over it, it'll show you the name and also the key you need to hit. So some of the more important ones: to bring up your selection tool, press V, press A to bring up the direct selection tool, and you can press P to bring up your pen tool. We'll go into the different tools more in depth later, but I just wanted to show you some of the different shortcut keys. If you find that you're using a tool a lot, just make sure you check out what shortcut key it is you should be using. I had mentioned it in another tutorial, but if you click and hold on a tool, you'll see all of the ones nested underneath it. But you can also hold Alt and click on it, and it'll just scroll through all of the tools that are nested underneath that. If you want to constrain the movement of an object, you can hold Shift while you move it. So say I want to move this rectangle down. If I press Shift while I'm moving it, it's going to constrain it so it only moves straight up and down. You have to move it quite a bit to the side to actually bump it off that track. This also works for rotating an object. You can rotate it freely, but if you hold Shift, it's going to snap it at different increments. If you want to create a perfect shape with even sides, you can use Shift to do that as well. So when you make a shape, you can move it freely like this, but if you hold Shift, it's going to scale it uniformly. A couple other tools that are going to make things easier for you are the Pan and the Zoom tool. Those are these right down here. The hand lets you pan around your artboard and move it from side to side and up and down, and the Zoom tool lets you zoom in, and if you hold Alt, you'll get the minus on the magnifying glass, and that lets you zoom out. But easier ways to do this are, while you're working, you can just press spacebar to bring up your hand tool, and you can move around. And to zoom in, if you press and hold Alt and zoom with your mouse's scroll wheel, you can zoom in and out like that. So this makes it easy while you're working to just quickly zoom in and out on an object and move around on your board. If you want to move your objects a little bit just by nudging them without moving them by the mouse, you can click on them and just use the arrow keys. This is going to move them by 1 point each. Now if you hold Shift and move them with the arrow keys, it's going to bump them by 10 points each. So this is nice if you just need to nudge it by a little bit. Just move it with those arrows. Alright, that's going to wrap up this tutorial.